5 Livecast. I'm your host, Tom Quiet, and we are back at it again with another amazing podcast. It is someday during the 25 days of Christmas. I'm starting to lose track, but if you've been listening to our podcast over the last week or so, we've started doing the 25 days of Christmas. Each musicians releasing Christmas music, and today we have a very special band group, a collaboration. That's the best way to word this one. We have Broadtree and Maddie Corrine. How's it going today, y'all?
Hi,
Good,
good.
good.
How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Just enjoying the oddly warm December 7th that we are having today. It got 80 degrees, and I don't know what to do with myself.
So here's the ultimate question. Whereabouts are you based?
I'm in Waco, Texas.
Okay. All right.
So we usually
It is warm here for December. Like it was what, 7, 8 degrees here today? And that's Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. But.
Yeah, I got you. It's usually about 50 or 60 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's unseasonably warm right now. So, but first off, I want to thank you all for taking the time to sit down and chat. I've been able to listen to a lot of your music individually and collectively with "Don't Come Home for Christmas," which is your Christmas collaboration that you released. When did that come out? A couple weeks ago.
Is it 3? It's been 3 weeks.
Yeah, just this week is 3, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And so, been able to listen to that and all your music individually. It's been amazing to kind of go through the catalogs, so to speak. So before we kind of jump into the depths of "Don't Come Home for Christmas," kind of take this opportunity to introduce yourselves individually, and we'll just kind of go from there, so everybody has names to faces.
Sure.
So I'm Ramon.
And I'm Nicole, and together we make up a little duo called Broadtree.
And I'm Maddie. Maddie Corrine, just Maddie. I'm only one of me, but I joined Broadtree on this awesome song, and couldn't be more excited about it. It was awesome.
Nice. It's a really catchy tune, but we'll jump into that here in a second. So for everybody just kind of getting to meet y'all for the first time, what was your, this will be an individual question, and we can start with Maddie or whoever wants to go first. But what was your introduction to music? Who originally introduced you to the idea of playing music?
Yeah, for me, I was sort of the only member of my family who played music and pursued music, but I come from a music business family. My mom worked in radio. My dad worked at Virgin Records for a really long time. So I was always surrounded by music, but I also kind of saw the business side of it, which I always enjoyed and appreciated, but I always was so excited to hear the new music and the new artists and listen to the songs. And I sort of started, my little collection of these singers and songwriters who really inspired me to sort of try it on my own. And I was sort of the first member of my family to really pursue music, but coming from a very musical family, all of them can't necessarily sing or play guitar, no offense to my family, but they love music regardless. They were big music lovers. And they worked in music for a long time, so they were very supportive of that. And I started writing, and mostly I started out as just a songwriter, writing with other artists or for artists. And eventually I had enough songs that I kind of wanted to see if maybe I could release them. I didn't really want to give them up. And now I've just been doing that on my own, and it's been a lot of fun.
Nice. And then we'll go down to Broadtree.
Do you want to start?
You go for it.
Oh, okay. So I guess I was really academic growing up, but I come to it, I guess, through the world of theater. I started doing musicals in high school, and I just fell in love with that. And when it was time to graduate, even though I had a totally different plan lined up with university picked out and everything, I decided I was just heartbroken at the idea of never getting to perform again. So I thought, if I feel that strongly about it, maybe it's something I ought to pursue. So I changed gears completely, went to theater school, moved to Toronto, did a sort of triple threat program. And I've been lucky enough to sort of been working in theater in Toronto for pretty much ever since. And then, I've always loved singing, obviously, but same, like none of my family are remotely involved in the arts at all. I'm from a very, very small town on the East Coast. But yeah, when I found my way to Toronto and theater, and we can talk about, I guess, how we met and how we got together and started working together. But basically, Broadtree is very new to the world. We formed, as many things did, during the recent plague. Mm. And yeah, I guess, I probably sort of merge stories here soon, but essentially what happened was during the plague, Armand, who I've worked with in a couple theater productions and musical, phoned me up and was like, do you want to record a duet just for fun? So we took a Taylor Swift song and we turned it into a duet, recorded it, put it out on Spotify and all that, and ultimately ended up writing together, and here we are. Yeah, so that's my background.
I did the whole, garage basement band thing all through high school just because all of my friends knew how to play guitar, and the idea of like, oh, I'm in a band sounds like a really cool thing to say, even though it wasn't at the time. But I've been in a variety of like either alternative bands or punk bands and things like that throughout my career, or music career as they'll call it. And I had my own solo stuff for a while, and after I think after my second album, after a really long and arduous tour, I came home and I'm like, we're done with music. Like, I can't do this anymore because that was way too exhausting. And that was in maybe 2013, and my music stuff literally just sat there for okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Music sat there for a while, and I think when the plague hit, I kind of got to this point of like, well, if there was ever going to be a time to pick it up, maybe now would be it, just because what else are we doing? I also was in the arts. I was doing theater management and performing in a mentalism act for quite a while, and that kind of shut us down. So I was like, well, if there's ever a time to pick up music, now would be the time, and called Nicole and said, come do the song, because I really don't want to do things on my own right now. And we did a couple of little things here and there. We recorded a couple covers, and that eventually turned into one of us saying, I forget who it was, one of us said, like, why don't we try writing something? And within, like half an hour, we had written a song. Mm-hmm. And that just kept going when, eventually got to the point where we started releasing. And, fast forward a year and a half, and here we are.
Nice. So I have to ask one really quick question. Why did you choose a Taylor Swift song as your first?
Now go easy, because I will tell you right now, these two, Maddie and Armand, are like some of the biggest Taylor Swift fans in the entire world.
I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you guys but... I think you already answered the question. He's a Taylor Swift fan. He's a Swiftie, so we'll kind of move on. It seems like an odd artist to choose. Like, to me, it doesn't seem that she would be very easily, or her music is very easily transformed into a duet, but that's me.
That's a really good question. That's a good, that's good. I like that. If you listen to, it was Red that we covered way back in the day. That was our first release, and we made it. It was in the middle of the plague. We were already sad as it was, and Red's kind of a sad, but it's an upbeat sad song. So we're like, well, how do we make this even sadder? And it was like the slow, mellow piano version, and
melancholy,
and I think one of the things that, and it's one of the things that we do quite a bit now. Anytime that we're playing live, if we have covers or anything that we want to do, and even when we're writing, there's two of us, and usually because there's two of us singing, we have to kind of think of it from a, well, rather than think of them as duets, how do we think of them as a story from two perspectives? And that's where a lot of, like the idea of theater comes in, because we think of characters and we think of and performing from that perspective. So when we sat down and we looked at Red, we thought, well, this is a really cool story that you look at here. And if you take certain lyrics and you flip them around from somebody else's perspective, it tells a story of this really interesting relationship between two people. And once we recorded that, and then we shot a music video for or a short film. By the way, we did the short film Taylor Swift in before she did. Call that out right now. But we did our own little short film on it, and it was really, really neat just being able to see just what and that Taylor song turned into so much more, because we we honestly can. I'm thinking of like what we do live. Like we'll take Hot and Cold,
Perry.
like Katy Perry, and we can turn that into like a 2-sided duet, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, I think every song always has a little bit of a deeper story inside of it if you can try to find it, and it's always a fun challenge to take it from 2 sides to figure out, well, how can we like make this about 2 people versus just one.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So how does Broadtree and Maddie Corrine, how'd you all meet?
Speaking of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, speaking of Taylor Swift.
I mean, I was taking a shot in the dark on that one, so yeah.
Yeah, at a Taylor Swift concert? No. No. So when we first wrote our first album, we didn't know what genre we were. We just wrote it and made it, and like whatever happened. And then when we started to do interviews and stuff about it, people kept saying, "Oh, it's country," and we were like, "Okay, sure, right." And then we were really embraced. The Ontario and Canadian country community is just incredible. Like everyone's so supportive of everybody else, and it's just amazing. And I think we started playing at the Moonshine Cafe, and then we met a bunch of people over Instagram, of course, because a lot of things were virtual for a while. And it's just this great little hub of like artists supporting each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the first kind of, I think, in-person event where we finally got to meet everybody was at the CCMAs, the Canadian Country Music Awards, in 2021. And it was so funny because this was the first time, I mean, we were coming in very, very new to this whole community. And it was just so interesting that it was literally like we had known everybody the entire time. Everybody was just so welcoming, and they didn't know us by names. They didn't be like, "Hey, Armand," or like, "Hey, it's Broadtree." We're like, "We'll take it." Like we'll take it as it is. But that's I don't know. That's our set.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. And then came more Taylor Swift. Is that right? Is that kind of it? Like, was it kind of like a?
Well, and then I think the first time like we were able to like fully get to know each other and like work together would be when you guys did Feelin' 22, which was a live Taylor Swift tribute show with Canadian country artists. And I was lucky enough that someone couldn't actually play the show. So then I was asked to play the show, and never said yes to something quicker probably in my whole life, because I love Taylor Swift and I thought it was a really great idea. And that was when we actually like kind of got the chance to like go to rehearsals together and like talk music and like kind of see how each other, we performed, and we just all really got along. And yeah.
Awesome. So it just kind of happened very organically.
Yeah.
I think that's the cool thing about this whole community is that it's, there's not, you're not really strangers in any way, which is, it's a weird but really cool thing to be able to say that like it's a very, very tight-knit community.
Yeah, you're very much able to message someone like, listen, I have this idea, like let me explain it to you and you let me know if you're in. And that's kind of how it was. Like you guys, were looking to do a Christmas song, and you had, Don't Come Home for Christmas already in your head as this like hook, and you didn't even know that Christmas was one of my favorite things in the world, as well as like sassy country songs, 2 of my favorite things in the world. And you just asked me to be a part of it, and I was like, sure, let's do it, let's see. And then you told me what the hook was, and I was like, I'm even more invested. Like, I love this. Let's write it like tomorrow, and let's see where this goes. So it was organic, and it was very much like, let's just see what we can do and see what happens. And we, ended with something that I think we're all very proud of.
Yeah, for sure. I must say that the visual elements, like the still photography and stuff, was perfect. That whoever came up with that concept, yes, that's all I got to say.
It was awesome. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Because when I first, like, that was one of the things that drew me in when I was like kind of going through the process of like laying out the idea for this 25 Days of Christmas. I was trying to find artists that I hadn't interacted with yet, and I started scrolling through Instagram, and I think I just like randomly typed in Christmas, and the photo of, I think it was just the photo of, maybe it was of Maddie, and I was like, okay, this looks like it's like a 3-piece, and so I went and tried to go find like the whole process or the whole thing, and I found the photo of all 3 of you, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And then I started doing a little bit of research, and I reached out to Broadtree and whoever which one he is running the Instagram handle. Who have I been talking to for the last couple of
A
weeks?
little of both, but primarily
Probably me and that, and like we both handle it. Honestly, that's why like we never really sign off on it, just because most of the time it's both of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
You never know.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the visual elements is what drew me in, and I was like, I got to know more about this because I hadn't even listened to the song yet, and it just looked fun. So, yeah,
Excellent.
yes.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Huzzah.
You think so.
We'll make sure we'll let our photographer know that because he had a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
No,
And I think
it
that's something that's very, I don't know about you guys, but very important to me. I the visual concept I think is so important, and especially nowadays, like as an indie artist, you're doing a lot of the things by yourself, specifically when it comes to marketing and promoting. And to me, like nothing makes me happier than like a super cool visual concept to
Yeah.
even just tease a song that hasn't even come out yet. So you haven't even heard it yet. You don't even know if you like it. But like you said, seeing that picture makes you want to know what it sounds like, or makes you want to, find out what's coming next. So I'm glad we got that across.
Yes, you did. So Don't Come Home for Christmas. It's out now on all the major streaming platforms. So if anybody that's listening now live on Twitch or listening later on Spotify or wherever, that's where you can find Don't Come Home for Christmas. But if you're watching live right now, I just threw it in the chat box. And so feel free to stream it after the interview, of course. Do not do it in the middle of the interview. That would be rude. But yeah. So how long have you had the idea for Don't Come Home for Christmas? How long has it kind of been percolating in the system?
It was pretty recent.
Yeah, we moved on pretty quick. I mean, we released our first original Christmas song last year and had a blast with it. And we said, well, we want to do something else again this year, but maybe something that's not the last year was sad or anything like that, but it was a little bit more, I don't know. Ballady, yeah. We were like, we want to do something else a little bit more fun, a little bit more, it has a little bit more sass. And one of us came in with like this idea of like, well, how do we take, because for one, the biggest, and you always say this, the challenge with writing an original Christmas song is how do you do something that
hasn't been done a million times before.
So we're like, okay, well, why don't we take the idea of an existing Christmas song, the idea of like an existing Christmas concept, and flip it. And last year I had released, or 2 years ago, I released a song with another friend of mine. We released a little like Christmas album, and Please Come Home for Christmas was on there. I'm like, what if they don't come home? And then Don't Come Home for Christmas popped in, and we're like, okay.
We immediately thought of Maddie because we were like, okay, funny and sassy,
add in the Christmas, and honestly, we, as soon as that came in, I think within like a day or two, we're like, we immediately said like we want to do a collaboration because we haven't yet. We've never done that. We've co-written, we've done a lot of co-writes, but we haven't actually released a song with anybody yet. And I mean, not to toot horns between the two of us here, but like it doesn't happen very often, at least within like the smaller indie community. Like some of the bigger name artists will, but like, well, there's no reason why we can't do that. So we called Maddie and we're like, do you like Christmas? Yeah. How about this? And she's like, when are we starting?
Yeah. So it's also funny releasing Christmas songs because of course you can't write it in the Christmas time. It has to be out by then. So it's like not even Halloween yet, and you're like, okay, what makes us feel Christmassy?
Yeah.
So Maddie was brought into the process super early.
Immediately.
Okay, gotcha. That's cool. And you can kind of tell listening to the song that it's meant for like a trio, just the way it's kind of laid out. So for Don't Come Home for Christmas, have you given any thought, or actually kind of tell, for anybody that hasn't listened to the song yet, kind of tell what the story is of Don't Come Home for Christmas.
Yeah, well, I'll go. Sure, absolutely, I'll start. Yeah, I think exactly what sort of Armand was saying of that, like, I always thought of it as like, I'll be home for Christmas or Please Come Home for Christmas. Like those songs that like we know and are so pretty and have so much like longing and love in them. And it sort of turns that on its head, and it's really tongue in cheek, which I love. That's my favorite kind of song ever. Like I want to laugh along as I'm listening to it. And I think that this song does that perfectly. But it's just about how, amazing the holidays are when, you know, that one person who did you wrong isn't around anymore, and you don't want them to come home for Christmas. You don't want them to come swinging through that door under the mistletoe. In fact, you think Christmas is much more festive when they're not around at all. And then it sort of talks about, you know, what might happen if they do happen to crash your holiday season. And it's just, yeah, it's really funny and sassy, but also like the melody and all of the beautiful instruments that are in them. It's very festive as well. So I think it mixes that perfectly of like festive, I love Christmas, you know, holiday song with this sort of sassy, grittier underbelly. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's very like snap, 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 empowered lady kind of a song.
Yeah.
And obviously, since you put a lot of effort into the visuals for it with the photography and the graphics and whatnot, is there any shot of a music video for this, or is?
No.
I mean, we would have loved to, but we're right out of time.
I'm like literally, I'm looking, I'm like, it's December 7th, so.
But that would be so fun to do at some point.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
like next year.
I think the good and the downside is, you know, like with Christmas songs, you know, you get to write about your favorite time of year. The downside is they usually only have like a 6 to 8 week life until you get to bring it. But that said, there's no reason why we can't bring it out again next year. So there's always opportunities to have fun with it, to do something creative. So
next week we'll be performing together, so we'll have like a live video of us singing it. It just won't be a music video, but it'll be a live performance video.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you brought up something, Herman, about it being regenerated every year, which is something we talk about every podcast. We've talked about every podcast this week about. That's one thing a lot of musicians underestimate about Christmas music is it becomes brand new every year. Like it's one of those things where it's like, it's only good for 6-8 weeks, you know, depending on how hardcore about Christmas music you are. It's good for 6-8 weeks a year, but then it's good for another 6-8 weeks. It doesn't have the typical burn off like a normal song or a record would. So
a lot of people are always looking, I know I am, always looking for new Christmas songs, because I would say probably the majority of people, that's, you know, Christmas music is a massive part of their holidays and what makes them feel festive. So like, you know, I'm always on the hunt for new Christmas music to add to the playlist to sort of increase the special Christmas feels. So yeah, it's great. I'm always finding things that, you know, I never knew existed. I'm like, wow, that one's going on there. And then you listen to it every year, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially when they're original songs. I think that's there's only so many more, like I said, there's only so many covers you can hear of I'll Be Home for Christmas. We're like, okay, what hasn't really been done?
Yes. Yeah.
I can't tell you. I'm just kind of over the Christmas covers right now, because it's like, if I have to listen to another cover of, you know, Jingle Bells or whatever it is, it's like, cool, I'm good.
And
so.
that's
Sorry.
We have a dog.
That's okay. That's what I thought about. Like, I love Christmas, and it was always like definitely a goal of mine to do a Christmas song, but I was never going to do a Christmas cover, because I knew if I wanted to do a Christmas cover, I'd have to do it different than any other. Like, there's so many Christmas covers that I love, and I didn't think that I would ever be able to do it like different enough or something that I would enjoy more than the versions I already love and listen to. So I knew it had to be an original Christmas song. But I think you struggle with, like, I was like, well, how am I going to write a Christmas song that isn't like Holly Jolly, Santa Claus? Like you need to find a story that hasn't been told, right? And I think that the second I heard Don't Come Home for Christmas, I was like, that's a story I haven't heard before. Let's do it. Like, right away, I was so on board.
Yeah. So I guess the next important question, are you already looking at next year for the next Christmas song, or will you kind of wait a little bit later in the year?
Oh gosh, yeah, we gotta wait. We gotta wait a little bit. Although, I mean, we've already sort of talked about, like, because we are enjoying the original Christmas songs. It is a lot of fun, and we were talking about maybe doing some kind of Christmas EP that this song would certainly make its way onto. So we kind of just do something for Christmas every year.
Yeah.
So
because the first year we did a cover, and again, it was one of those where like, can we find, a single and make it a duet, and it was a not very well known Christmas song. Not that we tried to pass it off as our own, but so many people were like, oh, did you write that? We're like, no, we really did. But there was a song called "Text Me Merry Christmas," which was a really like original single that is literally as it sounds like. It's a modern age Christmas song. And so we covered that, and then we did "It's Christmas, So It's Okay" last year, and "Don't Come Home" this year. So, we're racking up a few here that I think we can probably, put together for an EP, and there's no reason why we can't. Like you said, for anybody that hasn't necessarily heard the song this year, it's going to be brand new next year. So,
yeah, 100%. And Maddie, do you have intentions of working on a Christmas song for next year, or since you kind of got this one under your belt?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still like reeling from like the song that we just put out. I think it's so awesome, and I mean, I love Christmas is my favorite time of year. So if something ever came about in my brain or in someone else's brain that I was like just as excited about, I would love to. But right now, I'm just listening to this one and Christmas shopping.
Nice. Speaking of Christmas shopping, since this is a Christmas podcast, I have to know, what are your Christmas plans this year?
Oh, mine are a bit sad. It's been because I'm in Toronto right now, and I'm from the east coast of Canada, and so I haven't really been home for Christmas too much because of the plague and whatnot. And yeah, I got a job working as an elf for one of Santa's elves at this sort of tourist attraction that we have in here in Toronto, which is a castle. So I'm working at the castle as one of Santa's elves. So I'm likely to have the time off, but it's okay. I've got my my person at home, and we'll have a quiet Christmas and probably have our best friend over for some tofurkey. I don't eat tofurkey, but I am vegan, so I eat pretend turkey. So I'll eat some pretend turkey and open the presents on Christmas morning and all that stuff. Probably do a Zoom chat with the family.
Yeah.
Probably be working too. Yeah, I've got so like I'm in theater management, so of course whenever there's any sort of production that's in long term, Christmas Eve is always like Christmas Eve in a matinee. They always have to have some sort of performance, but for whatever reason, this production, won't say which one it is, but they want to do a Christmas Eve night performance.
Oh no, that's your
no, sorry, no. They're doing Christmas Eve during the day, and then they're doing a New Year's Eve night performance, which is just stupid. Anyways, we usually do a big thing on Christmas Eve at my dad's, and then we go over to my older sister's on Christmas Day. Just lots of drinks, a lot of food, which is really what it's all about, and family, of course.
Nice, awesome. And then Maddie.
Yeah, I actually work on a farm. That's like my day job, and we do this really big Christmas event every night on the weekends, and we have like Santa, and we have the Grinch, and live Christmas carols, and like a huge forest full of Christmas lights. So I get into the spirit really early. So I work a lot, but it's like it gets me in the spirit because it's very Christmassy and very festive. And then just Christmas at home with my family, small family, but we don't really do much. There's no pressure. You don't need to like get dressed up or anything. We just stay in our pajamas and drink mimosas and open presents, and that's about it. Have a day off.
Yeah, sure. So, Ed, you'd mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but you said Toronto's kind of dealing with unseasonably warm winters right now.
Yeah, I was really sad because I hate the cold, and like it's the like seasonal depression or whatever that people say when it starts to get cold and cloudy. And I remember we had such a beautiful fall. It was really unseasonably warm. It was beautiful.
So I'm doing the math so I can convert what it was today. So again, Toronto, Canada, it was 7 degrees Celsius today, so that translates to about 45 Fahrenheit, which for us in December is
warm.
Is very warm.
But
it
we had
warm.
Fall. And I remember like we had such a beautiful warm fall, and then I fell asleep and I woke up one morning and there was snow, and I was like, perfect, we skipped the gross like slushy back and forth gross cloudy rainy nasty weather, and it's just winter now, and that's great, yay Christmas. And then like all the past 2 weeks it's just been cloudy gray and like pouring rain.
We've gotten a lot of rain, but it hasn't been very cold. It's weird.
It's been the exact opposite. It's been very warm but dry. Like we haven't had a lot of rain, and I am slightly concerned that you're going to get pelted with ice when I have to drive to Chicago for Christmas.
No,
Oh,
my
no.
God.
But Christmas in Chicago, that's the place for Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Like that's every
Well,
Christmas is set in
yeah.
Chicago.
New York, yeah.
Yeah, I was born around Chicago in the suburbs, so it's where my family is, and it's just kind of like cool. I just hope it doesn't snow, but
Don't want snow on Christmas?
no,
Or
I
just
don't want it to snow while I'm driving. Like it could
Yes.
snow
Yeah,
once I'm
that
there.
makes sense.
It could snow when I'm there because I'm there. I don't have to worry about it. But if it snows while I'm driving, yeah,
That's
I'm
annoying.
not- yes, it is.
Yeah.
We dodged a bit of a bullet with what happened was 2 weeks ago in Buffalo.
yeah,
yeah.
They
storm.
had like I think it was something like 7 feet of snow in 48
Oh yes.
hours.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
like
It
they had
did
to
hit
call it,
Toronto.
no,
'Cause
we got like a little tiny bit of it, which was weird.
Because I remember watching a football game and they were talking. It was the Buffalo Bills and talking about the 7 feet of snow, and I'm like, "Ooh, that's going to be an interesting one." So, yeah.
Yeah.
But, anyways, so "Don't Come Home for Christmas" is out now. It's out for everyone to listen. Spotify, all that fun stuff. You said possibly maybe an EP coming in the future, like a Christmas EP, which would be cool. I wish more independent musicians would do that as far as like just releasing Christmas albums, but I understand like the budget's not there. It's a lot of money to kind of put albums and EPs together, so I get that. So,
Well, and I
what's
think one of the biggest challenges with like a Christmas album is you got to start writing it in July, and that's hard to. I mean, it was hard enough sometimes to write a Christmas song in the beginning of October, knowing you're going to release it in November.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
you kind of got to smack yourself into that mood. And, like our
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is early. Our Thanksgiving is the second weekend in October, so at least we had that past us. But we weren't even past Halloween at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Because there's a lot of people in Texas that think Christmas doesn't start until like December 1st, and it's like, ooh, that's a little tight for anyone trying to release music.
Exactly.
It is what it is. So what's kind of the plans moving forward into 2023? Obviously, you just released this music, but are you looking at like the next release, non-holiday release, or where are you kind of at looking at 2023?
Yeah. You guys want to go first?
Sure.
Yeah.
So we have an EP planned for next spring, and we're releasing the first single off of that, hopefully in January, assuming we get it done in time. That's the plan. But we're super excited about it. We've had
It's
a
written
number
like,
of new
yeah.
songs. It's written. It's like being recorded right now by some of the musicians that we work with, and yeah, hopefully we'll be recording vocals soon. So that's coming really, really soon in the new year.
Nice.
And then I think once we focus on that, it's really just getting into one of the best parts about Ontario, the province that we're in, is there's so many amazing festivals. Like festival season for us starts in like April and runs all the way till October.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's almost like a year round thing. And honestly, even into Christmas, like we're still doing outdoor shows right now, which is
Well,
painfully awful sometimes, but it's still worth it.
yeah.
I think
I had
really sorry.
band that no, you're fine. I had a band on a while back that was telling me that they had a show. They live in Nova Scotia, and they were telling me that they had a show in like an outside show in January or something. I'm like, I don't know anything about Nova Scotia, but that just sounds terrible.
It
That
would
sounds
have.
like
Oh yeah.
so.
I'm doing an outdoor show tomorrow, so hopefully it's unseasonably warm tomorrow.
I mean, I'd say your chances are good. I
cut holes in my gloves so I could still play guitar and then keep like the rest of my hands warm. So I figured it out.
Yeah, for sure. So Maddie, what's your plans looking into 2023 with releases
Yeah,
and
actually,
whatnot?
I'm releasing my EP in the spring as well. I'm hoping around March. That's my plan. So there are a few singles already out that are a part of this EP, but sort of kind of finishing the project in the springtime. And then in February, I'm also going to start recording the next one. So I'll be working on that while the other songs come out, and then just working on finishing it up, and maybe more Christmas songs. Who knows?
Nice.
Who knows?
I think we may need to plan out like our EP release dates so that they fall on the exact same day again.
Yeah, that works for me. I'm okay with that.
Our
And
last two singles actually came out on the exact same day without
That's-
planning or anything like that. So it's
No,
just,
yeah.
that's the best when it happens that way. You do things unintentionally and it just kind of works.
Yeah.
So for you said you also have a show coming up. Is it this week or next week for Don't Come Home for Christmas? Or
Next
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. Yeah. So we're playing this great songwriters round that happens at this place called the Moonshine Cafe here in Ontario, which is pretty much like our version almost of like the Bluebird Cafe, where, you know, they do the songwriters rounds and songwriters get to try out their new songs in front of an audience that's actually listening, which is wonderful. And that's sort of really where the country community really thrives and feels like a family here in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
So we're both playing that show, and we both get to play a couple of our own singles, and then at the end we're gonna get to play Don't Come Home for Christmas together live.
That's awesome. And will this be the first time you guys get to play it together live?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's exciting. That's, you know, just kind of having that first opportunity to sit down and play it. Obviously, you recorded it and whatnot, but just getting to be able to play it together live, that's going to be a different feeling on a different level.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's going to be cool. We're excited.
nice. So obviously you got that. You just released Don't Come Home for Christmas. It's Spotify. I'm going to keep saying it until people go listen to it, so people can go listen to it and whatnot. And busy 2023, it seems like, with new music releasing. And are you already starting to book out shows for 2023, or are you kind of 100% focused on releasing music?
We've got a couple.
Yeah, I mean, we say festival season is year round, but you know, if we're booking into the summer, booking started last month.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny. Literally, festivals end and they automatically start booking for next year. And if you're not on it, you lose out. So, you know, we've been working pretty hard at our festival contacts, getting those up and running. I think the EP's like getting this EP done is going to be a little tiny bit of a quiet time for us, at least as far as live shows go. But I think we're just kind of getting prepped and ready for really, really exciting spring, summer, fall until things get cold again.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then Maddie, shows?
Yeah, same thing. I'm looking into spring and summer. I mean, January and February for live shows are a little bit more few and far between because it is so horrendous here in Canada. You never want to leave your house ever. So that's definitely my time to sort of like hunker down and plan and focus on the release and, you know, do some more writing and get back in the studio for the next project. And then, basically once spring hits, that's when it kind of starts to get hectic. And that's the hope, is that, you know, live shows are happening more than they are not happening. So that's the goal.
Yeah, for sure. So for somebody that's never actually been to Canada, I went to Canada once for 45 minutes. I went across the Detroit, the border crossing in Detroit. We were in, my dad was working in Detroit. He was a pilot, so he was based out of Detroit. And I think I was maybe like 14 or 15. And he was like, "Hey, you want to go to Canada?" Or no. It was before 14 or it was before 2001 because we didn't need a passport at that time. And he was like, "Hey, you want to go to Canada? You tell all your schoolmates you went to Canada on spring break." And I'm like, "Okay." And he took me across the bridge or whatever it is, and we were in Windsor. And he's like, "Yeah, we'll go get lunch." And I'm like, "Okay." And we get over into Windsor, and I'm like, "I don't know if I want to stop here." And he's like,
"Yeah, that sounds about right." No offense to any of our Windsor listeners in any way, shape, or form,
But to be fair, this was also like 99, 2000. This was quite a while back. So I'm speaking off of old data. So, point of bringing that up, if somebody like myself wants to come visit Toronto, when's a good time to do it?
I come in the summer because there's so much to do. I mean, there's always stuff to do because we have a lot of attractions that you can see inside and stuff like that. But being Canada, it's just always going to be more pleasant in the spring and summer in general.
Yeah.
And then there's more things like, we've got some, I'm the type of person who likes things like theme parks and hiking and the beach. So there's definitely more of that in the spring, summer.
Yeah. And a lot of concerts too, like a lot of concerts, outdoor shows, like a lot of live music opportunities in the spring and summer. I mean, we get super hot too, but I mean, you're used to that. So
yeah.
That you probably enjoy it more in the summer than in January when there's like feet of snow and everything is a sheet of ice and you break your neck every time you step outside.
Yeah.
And there's so like Toronto specifically has so many street festivals in the summer.
Yeah.
Like every weekend somewhere there's a street festival that you'll probably just stumble upon if you're out and about in the city because they're just all the time. So
it's also, we also don't recommend driving in this city.
Yeah, no, don't.
Especially during summer, because that's why literally, and that's how you know that the festivals are happening or something is happening in the city, because you'll drive and go, oh right, it's this week, because like you just know by like we have so many annual things that happen every single year.
Yeah.
But it's just a blast.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could tell there's a street fair going on because every weekend there's a traffic jam somewhere.
Yeah.
Because they have to close down a section of the road.
Takes you an hour and a half to go 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like if we were to drive, because Maddie's out in Kitchener-Waterloo, which is what, maybe
45-minute drive.
I would say it's maybe like a 45-minute drive for us.
Yeah,
45 minutes an hour. It would take us less time to get, and that's about let's say 80 to 90 kilometers.
Yeah.
Driving in the span of Toronto, like from one end to the other, is maybe 15 or 20, and it would probably take us less time to get to her than it would to drive from one end of the city to the other. Like
it's quicker. I guarantee you it was quicker. Yeah, it was quicker for me to get home, like hop on the highway and go home, than it would be to drive like 4 blocks from where you guys are to like, it would 1,000%. I hate it. I hate driving in the city.
That sounds like any major city, though, like Chicago, LA.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely the same. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's awesome. Really enjoyed having the chat with you. For anybody that wants to listen to Don't Come Home for Christmas or any of your individual musics, where can they find you online?
So basically, I guess the best place is always on the social medias, because that's going to link to our Linktree, which is our website, which is the hub of all the things with the show dates and the merchandise and the new releases and the music videos, etc. So that for us is at Broadtree Music.
Yeah, and I'm same thing. Like Instagram, that'll take you to everything about me is Maddie Corrine Music, and yeah, that's where all the links to everything are. And then you can find our song together if you search either one of us. Just search one, and you'll find the song with both of us.
That was an interesting mistake I made when I was originally trying to find Don't Come Home for Christmas. I went to YouTube for some unholy reason, and I just typed in Broadtree out of nowhere, and for whatever reason it didn't pop up. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, I know the song is here somewhere. And then I I wised up. I was like, oh, I should go to Spotify. Typed it in. Yeah. It's right there. And then I went back because I was trying to see if there was like a music video, lyric video, something. Because you know how like depending on what distributor you go through, they'll automatically upload it to YouTube as like like whatever it is. And I don't know, for whatever, it took me like 2 weeks to try and find it on YouTube. It was so wild, but anyways,
everybody, don't look on YouTube for it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
well, we're glad you found it. We're really glad that you enjoyed it, and this was fun. It's fun being able to just, I mean, I don't think we'd get a chance to actually like talk about this song, but especially with both of us or all three of us being a part of the combo. So that was that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah. Once again, thank you all so much. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're listening live on Twitch, this podcast will be live on Friday at 9 a.m. as per all of our podcasts usually are. And if you haven't followed us on Twitch, please do so. That's where we stream all of our podcasts live. It's at Live and Amplified. And then you could find all our social medias at Live, the letter N Amplified, because I got screwed and could not get all of these same handles.
Oh.
So, it is what it is. And then liveandamplified.net is the website where you can get all of everything. But once again, thank you all so much for hanging out with us. It's been an absolute blast. You're welcome back anytime. Feel free to reach out. Thank y'all, and we have a Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having us.